My album, POPSTAR'S REVENGE, is out right now, and I thought it could be fun to go through each song in order of the track list and explain the stories behind them and how I made them and why I made them, because this album has been over 5 years in the making, and honestly I've just accumulated so much lore at this point. I have a lot of stories to share. I did all of this completely by myself. Obviously, if it wasn't already obvious, there's no record label or producers or collaborators or anything. The only, literally the only thing was that my brother just filmed some clips of me at the beach for my next music video. But other than that, every sound you hear, every visual and every word is directly coming from me. Returning to these songs 5 years after I wrote them, I think my first reaction when I was trying to record them finally was like, I want to change everything or revise some lyrics that are a little bit maybe too juicy or exposing or whatever, but in the end I decided that I really just wanted to preserve exactly what those moments in my life felt like, and almost sort of as just a personal documentation of what life was like for me when I was 21. I'm really glad that I committed to that, because I think it's such a vivid, I can't say what it feels like to listen to it as someone that's not me, but for me, when I listen to it, it just really brings me right back to those moments. I guess I also just want to say that the sound of this album, I wanted it to be so much more energetic and pop, sort of as a direct reaction to the type of music I had been making for a couple of years when I was a teenager. That was much more mellow and chill and really kind of somber, all the way through. I wanted this to be a moment for me to break free, and you'll, I guess, understand more of that when I explain the songs. All right, the first song on the album is called Tomorrow.
That kid in the back, that kid is me. He needs to believe he holds the key.
And I started building this track alongside the last song called His Design back in 2018 when I was in college. And this was before I had even experienced any of the experiences that inspired the album. I was just kind of creating a sonic template for myself of what I wanted this album to sound like. And I was really trying to pull myself into a higher energy dance vibe, because that's a lot of the music that I love to listen to. But I always just felt like I couldn't pull it off because, I don't know, my singing voice is kind of mellow and my vibe is just kind of mellow. Setting the scene for this song, I was closeted and really depressed in college. Basically, I went into college with the mindset that I was not going to come out and I was gonna just focus on making art, making music, and writing. And I was sort of using that as a cover up for why I didn't want to put myself out there or make friends or be a normal person. Being so closed off for so long, I was getting really socially anxious. I was really afraid of other people and opening up to people. I was just not living a life that I was happy with.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna be better. Can't carry on this way much further.
And I thought that all I needed was my art, and I was sort of popping off on Instagram, and I was really excited about making music, and I thought that I could just do all of that and still just not be myself and be free out in the real world. But that just wasn't working anymore. So in an effort to change my path and basically save my life, I applied for the Disney college program, and this is where things are gonna get really specific, but I promise it's not gonna be that boring. So the Disney college program is where you can spend a semester out of college to work in one of the Disney theme parks, either the one in California, Disneyland, or the one in Florida, Disney World, and that's the one that I did. And I just took this huge leap of faith doing that, and it completely changed my life forever. I mean, spoiler alert, fast forwarding a tiny bit, I got there, came out, fell in love super quickly, had really close friends that I loved. I felt like kind of popular. I felt like really cool, and my job was really exciting. I loved working in Disney World, and it was just this like mega heightened electric time in my life, and I'm so glad I captured it in album form. So this song that starts the album is basically being hesitant to take this leap of faith and dreaming of a better tomorrow for yourself, but still like being aware of this push and pull of like, I'm so scared to do this, but I know I have to do this.
Past, present, and future. Know that I'm a loser. Just keep moving forward.
Starting the album with this song is also kind of meta for me because it was about the hesitation I felt in that moment 5 years ago, but it's also kind of like the hesitation to even begin an album and begin this whole, I don't know, like higher energy pop star, whatever vibe I was trying to go for. It was like, can I even pull this off? What am I doing? But you just throw yourself into it anyway because you know it's what's right for you and your life. And so I'm really glad that I was brave then, and I'm glad that I was brave now with this album.
Can't carry on. Can't carry on. Can't carry on this way much.
Track 2 is Margot, and this is, like I said, I really quickly fell in love with somebody.
And I'm thinking about Margot.
Very chaotic, very up and down. First romance. I'm like choosing my words very, and this is honestly where I'm really happy that I waited like 5 years to finally record these songs and finish them, because all of these moments really do just feel like my own personal mythology of my life, and just like stories that I'm telling about my past, where it's not so alive in me anymore that I'm like in pain when I think about these songs about falling in love or the heartbreak that came after. I have like a really good perspective on it most of the time now. It was actually really nice to revisit this time in my life where I was so in love with somebody. So Margot is just this really chaotic, dancey song that is just about being so obsessed with somebody so quickly, and also kind of the heaviness of feeling like destiny is like playing out and you're meeting a soulmate, and it's sort of like the planets are aligning.
Butterflies in space, falling in love with your face. I'm dreaming away, and the nights are making my heart race. In space, butterfly kisses kissing my face.
A lot of the textures and sounds in this song feel very overwhelming to listen to, and that was intentional. I wanted it to really feel like falling in love but chaos. In this song, I also name drop Florida, which was really cool for me to like actually ground the song in a real place where it actually happened.
Made me hot, now I'm his baby, baby butterfly.
This song also kind of marked a turning point for me where I felt like I was really excited to have fun in my songwriting and make things really kind of cheesy and like silly and fun. Like I have some really goofy lyrics in this song and in other songs on the album.
Made my heart go ooey gooey, dripping drizzle in my mind.
And that's totally by design because I was just in such a light and, I don't know, young, excited place in my life, and I wanted that to come through in the music. This song was always my favorite one from the bunch, and pretty much just because I felt like I really captured the moment and the feeling perfectly in my mind. And so of course I chose it to be the first single, if we're saying single, if this is like a real album rollout. But I made a music video for it, so go check that out if you're interested in that.
This one guy. Sometimes my whole world shake it like a pro, but it's my first time feeling it.
Track 3 is Moonbathing, and this chorus is one of the oldest things that I wrote on this album. It's from 2017, which is pretty absurd.
Catch me moonbathing every hour I can. I wanna soak it up, be your midnight man. Moonbathing, I just wanted a tan.
I forgot that I was gonna change the color of that for every song, so sorry, I already flopped. Moonbathing is basically the last song in this first part of the album that is about things still being really positive and happy and exciting. It's about going out with friends for the first time and going to clubs and parties and drinking for the first time, and just that kind of like invincibility feeling that you feel when you're experiencing all those things for the first time. And I just felt so strong, like being in my friend group that I had at the time. It was just a bunch of young gay men, all, you know, I don't know what I'm saying.
Sky, they've got this potion that'll set me free. I'm so the novice, I trust him, I'm breathless. The tension, this feeling.
Basically, I had never truly had friends that I opened up with and connected with on that deeper level like I did with these friends. And so it was a completely new feeling for me at 21 years old to like have really close connections. All I wanted to do was just go out and have fun with them. And so that's what this song is about. It's about nighttime, back when it was fun. I just remember at the time feeling like I had no limit or end to my energy. Like, the job that I had in Disney World was so high energy. I was like on all the time, and then I would get off of work and just go out sometimes until whatever, very, very late, and then early into the morning. This song also has some cute little alien robot voices that I just cannot resist putting into my music. I don't know what that temptation is about. I don't know, like distorting vocals and putting it in, like so many people do it, and it just, I don't know, it sounds really fun and really whimsical and cute. Track 4 is called Is He Mine? And this is pretty much the point where the story starts turning sour.
I can't breathe, and I think I love him. Is he mine? So I'm gonna tell him.
On paper, this song is almost a positive love song, but what it really is this slow march towards the inevitable heartbreak where you kind of already know that this person doesn't really love you back, but you're holding on to one last glimmer of hope that if you declare your love for them, maybe they're gonna say the same. So the song is basically building up to this moment where you're gonna tell this guy that you love him, and you're wondering what he's gonna say. The answer is not in the song. The answer is sort of in the next song, but what I was gonna say is that the answer is kind of in the way that the song sounds and the really kind of somber, weird, almost spooky, ominous vibe.
It's not a movie, but I'm looking into your eyes, a color I can't describe.
This is another song where the timeline of making it was really weird, where I wrote these verses back in 2017 before I had experienced the events that I'm singing about, which is really weird. I don't know. I was just kind of writing this fantasy song about being in love with somebody back when I wasn't. But last year when I was putting together the track listing for this album and really thinking about the storyline and making sure that it all flowed nicely, I just felt like it was really jarring to go from these first 3 songs on the album that were so happy, not like really happy, but just like energetic and when times were good. And then the song that comes after this one is like, my heart's broken and, you know, everything is doomed. I felt like I needed something else that would show the cracks a bit more. And so I was digging through old things that I had made, and I really loved these verses I wrote. I never had a chorus to them, and there was never any production that I had built for it. It was just me playing the acoustic guitar and me singing on my phone. I originally wanted the production to be a little bit more romantic and sweet sounding, but I think I was just in like a really, I don't know, reflective and gloomy mood when I was making the production, and it just started sounding really kind of cloudy and darker, and I just went with it, and I felt like it was a really honest look into what those moments felt like, kind of on the verge of a heartbreak. Track 5 is Heart Race, and this is pretty much the turning point in the album where I started off as this naive, young, in love, excited, open person, and I experienced this heartbreak that really devastated me for a really long time, and I'm like laughing and whatever because so many years have passed, and I don't know, sometimes it's just kind of ridiculous how much loving someone can just knock you out. Like, I was down and out for years.
When I drop it low, it's the only time I make your heart race. When I drop it low.
For me, when I was just with him and like talking with him and spending time with him, my heart would race because I just like was so in love with him. But this is saying like for him, he was only interested in, it's like me dropping it low. It's like kind of silly. This song also includes kind of a personal secret reprise of an old song I made that in the chronology of this album technically would be like track 0 before the opening song. I never actually finished this song, but it was called My Wish Just Came True. And so I kind of bring it back in this heartbreak song where it just has a different meaning now. I say, my wish just came true, summer's here and I've got nothing to lose. Oh, what can I do? If I fall in love, just promise me you will too. My wish just came true. That was a song that I wrote before any of this happened, where I was imagining what it would be like to fall in love with somebody, and that I was just like so excited to be out and to experience life and love. And then, you know, obviously that's not what happened.
My wish just came true. Summer's here and I've got nothing to lose. Oh, what can I do?
This one really kind of pulls at my heartstrings when I listen to it. There's just a lot of personal stuff embedded in this song, but it's still kind of a fun little tune, and there's a cool beat in the chorus. It's not a true stripped back ballad, but yeah, that's Heart Race.
You don't wanna see me anymore, do you? I told you summer's here and I've got nothing to lose. Now I'm lost.
Track 6 is Deluxe, and this song is a direct response to the previous song where we just found out that the person I loved doesn't love me back and is only interested in...
He'll never say I'm deluxe, delusion, dreaming I'm the one. They're telling me come out to the club, I'ma show him what I'm made of. The fire.
And so this is my moment of, if this is all you're going to see me as, then I'm gonna double down and try to be like the spiciest version of myself. This song to me kind of feels like what the album title, POPSTAR'S REVENGE, is like suggesting, with sort of like a playfully dark kind of a vibe. It was definitely like a micro era of my life where I felt cool for the first time, I think, and just going to clubs, going to parties, dancing. I was just really getting in touch with myself and being free and expressing myself in different ways.
I'm gonna do this my way. Everybody wanna fight for the ragdoll. Stitch this, rip that, just take it all. And I'm so vulnerable. He's statuesque, play it dumb, but
This song actually used to be just an interlude for the album. It was the chorus once with no verses, and I just kept going back to it feeling like it was a really important vibe for the album. And so years later, I fully fleshed it out and wrote the verses, and I'm really glad I did because it's one of my favorite moments on the album. And there's this little dance break thing at the end that I love because I just allowed myself to push every button that I wanted to push. I was trying to restrain myself production-wise during a lot of the songs because I just have a tendency to like make the production really busy and add a ton of sounds. But I had to remind myself that I needed some clarity in the songs. But a moment like this song at the end of it where there's no lyrics, there's no melodies, it's just like a production explosion. That was so exciting for me.
crowd ain't ready for us.
Track 7 is Caramel Recipe, or Caramel Recipe, whatever you'd like to say.
Death cakes, shake your death cakes. Caramel recipe burns the sugar, babe. Death cakes, shake your death cakes. Caramel recipe burns the sugar, babe.
It's basically a metaphor for love going wrong, going sour. And this was one of the later songs I wrote for the album when I felt like I needed more darker, spicier tracks because the album title POPSTAR'S REVENGE is so kind of loaded and interesting. I felt like I wasn't really delivering on the vibe like that I wanted from my own album. This song came in around like either 2021 or 2022. It started as just a poem for the verses, and then I started building a track around it.
The widow's web spins faster, faster. Raw to the bone, midnight hour.
I love how silly and nonsensical this song is. It's a really, I mean, it's weirdly kind of wordy and poetic, but it's very lighthearted if you don't want to read into it at all. This song is also kind of the final boss of me overly playing with vocal distortions.
Sticky bit.
think I had the most fun recording this song out of any of the songs, mostly because it just felt so low stakes when I was recording it. I do believe that every single song on this album is essential for my story, but other songs like the opening song or the song Marco, I was really freaking out about those ones, feeling like I have to get this right or else there is no album. But for this one, I just felt so free and felt like I could play around, and I think it's weirdly my best vocal performance on the album in the verses because I'm just so loose and chill about it. And by the way, the inspiration for this song actually did come from burning caramel, so it was real. Track 8 is the title track, Popstar's Revenge.
Popstar's revenge ain't sweet. I'd rather be in love with somebody I can keep.
So I actually started writing a completely different version of a song called Popstar's Revenge, and it was really bitter, and it was supposed to be Popstar's Revenge, so sweet. But I pretty quickly realized that that's not how I felt about the situation, and it's still not how I feel. I don't have a finished version of that song, by the way, so, you know, I know it probably sounds probably more interesting than what I actually ended up with. What this song really ended up being for me was kind of an opportunity to just explain things in plain English. After using a lot of fun fantasy imagery and language in the previous songs, I kind of just wanted to explain exactly how I felt and what happened and why I was so disappointed in this relationship.
I'm not in my head like, yes, I understand, but I don't. We've gone too far down this road.
I tried my best to make a really fair album and just make it about my experience and not be like, I'm here to expose somebody, because I get no joy out of that. And this song is also about me feeling like I, at the time, wanted to just let go of all of my dreams of becoming a singer, becoming an artist, and just be a normal person and be a good friend, be in love with this person. I'm saying in the song that I would have rather just had everything work out in this new life I had, but instead I'm going to be stuck the rest of my life with just the memories of these times through song, and I'm like doomed to be a pop star or whatever. And that is kind of one of the weird trade-offs of being a creative person. When you go through something really difficult and really heartbreaking, it can make really amazing art and music.
You'll forever be just a memory. You're a ghost. This is the end of the line, and so
Track 9 is Snowfall, and this was the last song that I wrote for the album in 2023.
evergreens won't grow here, but flip the last page beneath the fray. I wrote this ending for you. Come back to bed.
I was just feeling like I wanted to make sure I said everything that I needed to say about this time in my life and about basically about this one love interest character. In this song, I'm imagining an alternate ending where I end up with the person. The beginning of this song is definitely the closest thing I have on the album to like a classic ballad feel with a piano and my voice, but it evolves in the second half into this like dream space where the alternate ending that I'm imagining ends up becoming real in the song. Basically, to make it really unpoetic here, we were all living in Florida and we had to go home at the end of it. And I'm from Massachusetts, and so winters are cold and have snow. And this guy had never seen snow in real life before, and was like really kind of fascinated by it. And so I was imagining an alternate ending where I took him home with me and he got to see his first real snowfall. This is definitely one of those moments on the album where I have that feeling of, how did we get here? Everything started off so exciting and full of life and vibrant. The optimism is gone, unfortunately.
It's his first snowfall. It's his first snowfall. And I'm the one.
Track 10 is Marco 2, the sequel. This is saying goodbye to Marco.
They're asking what happened with Marco. Nothing happened with Marco. You're an angel through and through. Yeah, I'd die to be with somebody like you. Staying up to
I really wanted the production here to sound like everything is withering away and kind of powering down as a counterpart to the song Marco, which is so chaotic and swirling, and it's like you're swept up, you're falling in love, you're dancing. This is like the party's over. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you're saying goodbye to somebody and you really feel like you may never see that person ever again. It's almost like a summer camp or something like that, where you get so close to someone in a short amount of time. You knew from the beginning that it was a finite experience and that you were gonna have to go home, but it still hurts so much when you have to say goodbye to someone that you really grew attached to.
and I'm praying for Marco. What do I do when there's nobody next to me? The way I was living is dead to me.
I just remember feeling really defeated and feeling like it was so personal to me that the first time I ever truly fell in love with somebody right after coming out just went so horribly wrong. And it kind of felt like the universe was out to get me or something. What makes this song even sadder for me is that I wasn't just saying goodbye to Marco, I was saying goodbye to this whole life that was a dream life for me, where I was finally free and finally myself, and I was facing the reality that it was ending and I had to go home, back to freezing cold winter Massachusetts. And also my last shift of working in Disney World was New Year's Eve, so we got to work like into midnight and beyond to celebrate New Year's with all of the craziness in the theme park. And then that was the last shift and we had to go home the next day on New Year's Day. That was really kind of unintentionally traumatizing for me. I think revisiting these songs and finally recording them all these years later really reopened a lot of feelings for me. And oh my gosh, I almost sounded like I was gonna cry. Track 11 is called His Design, and this is the final song on the album. The scope of this song kind of overwhelms me, trying to put it into words.
Earth bleeding fire up in the sky. I'm mesmerized by his design. It's not what I imagined, but it's a dream. So don't wake me.
This song began in 2018 alongside the opening track called Tomorrow. I was trying to push myself into a new space with the sound of the music, but I wasn't really writing a lot of lyrics yet. Basically, I had loosely built a structure for the album where it started off as I'm going to try to push myself forward and maybe come out and be brave and dream of a better future for myself. And then the last song is I've reached the end of this transformation and now I am this stronger, newer, wiser version of myself. And I didn't know what was gonna happen in between because I hadn't experienced any of this yet. It was just kind of like, really like I was trying to manifest my future through this album, and I did. The one lyric that I did write for this song in that initial stage in 2018 was part of the chorus. Basically, I'm crying out to the universe or my idea that I had of God at the time, asking, or almost like in frustration, kind of like yelling, like, why is it so wrong for me to be who I am and to love a man?
I'll never ask again. Tell me, is it wrong to fall in love? 'Cause he is all I want. See the signs, please, planets align for me.
This is sort of the unavoidable topic of this song and honestly the undercurrent of my entire album, which is this is all about me initially being closeted for years and years and years and then finally coming out at 21. There aren't very many options for what it could be that would keep somebody running from themselves for that long, but in my case it was growing up in a traditional religious culture. I promised myself that I would never come out and that I would die with my secret, and I thought that it was a sacrifice that was great and that I was willing to make. But when you're that young, you don't understand what you're committing to, and that when you build your entire life based on dishonesty and lying, you're going to feel sick eventually. And that's where this album begins. In the first song, it was a complete dead end that I had reached, where I was approaching 21 and I just felt like there was no way that I was going to be able to continue living the way that I was living, and I had to find some way to be brave and break free. And at the time, it was just the most terrifying thing imaginable to me. And when I look back at those moments, I kind of can't even believe that I did it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And now is kind of not the time to like dive all the way into this, but just know that this song is embedded with so much feeling.
I won't talk. I swear to God I won't talk. Summer's gone. I'm alone with all my thoughts.
So the chorus of this song is kind of frozen in time in that initial moment in 2018, but the verses I left for later, and so the verses ground the song in what was actually going on at the time in January of 2020, where I had just moved back home after this transformative experience in Florida where I finally came out and I was free. I was facing the choice to either continue being brave and living the way that I was living, or basically stay closeted and just act like nothing had happened. And it was a real decision. I was not sure if I could handle being that brave at home, but I did. When I think of this song, I just remember coming home and falling asleep in my childhood bed again after feeling this total 180 transformation, feeling like I don't even know if I'm the same person anymore, and how could I be right back where I started after all of this growth and transformation. I'm like plopped right back to the beginning. I was kind of gaslighting myself, feeling like, did any of this even happen?
My skin outgrown, I used to glow like peaches, nectarines, yeah. So light, so bright, his baby. I was so free, I believed in love. Oh, when the world was mine.
The most special part about this song is that it has a little secret song kind of tagged onto the end as an outro. And this song I wrote and produced it in 2018. I didn't change any of the production, which was pretty special for me. But I wrote this little mini song called Wait and See, and it was me at the time imagining this older and wiser version of myself who kind of made it to the other side and was singing back to that current version of me, saying, it's going to have all been worth it, and I'm living proof that you can get through this and you can break free and be yourself, and it might get a little bit ugly, but in the end, it's going to have been worth it.
Wait and see, the world falls at your feet. I'll take the lead and show who you can be.
So this is puzzling to me because I do wonder if somehow, very deep within me, I knew that it was going to take many years for me to get to a finished version of this album. I think maybe I thought it would take a year or 2 years to finish it, and so I would record that last part being older and wiser, like 22 at the time, saying, you know, I have all the answers now, but I certainly did not back then. So it's just really interesting now being this current version of myself in 2025. I waited to record this as the last thing that I would record vocally for the album. I finished the entire album, and then like this was like a couple of weeks ago, I recorded this last part, and I am that version of me now that is older and wiser and can speak to this younger version of myself and say that it did end up somehow working out. I don't know what working out means. I mean, I'm still alive. I wasn't originally gonna share this, but I feel compelled to say it, that part of the reason why it took me all these years to get to this finished album was that I became an alcoholic somewhere along the road, and I was struggling with addiction for 4 years, and you know, I'm sober now. And so I just share that because I want to just say how meaningful it is for me to get to that finished part of the album where I'm this older version of myself, you know, saying to the younger version of me that everything's going to be okay. Back then, like, I hadn't even had a sip of alcohol, and I thought that the biggest struggle in my whole life was going to be coming out, and if I ever got to the other side of that, then I was free to go and it was going to be an amazing life. And so I've just experienced like multiple life cycles, it feels. So that ending part where I am the me that I am now, it feels very earned. Thank you so much for listening to my stories and my music and my talking. It feels very healing for me to be so open after spending vast majority of my life being so closed off and so unwilling to share my truths, and feeling like I was just this ball of secrets for so long. It feels really nice to just say things and be witnessed as well. So I really appreciate you for listening to this. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.